translate, and if that might be a consideration when they build the new Bills Stadium, if and when, in the next 10 years. I know they just spent $100 million on upgrades to the Ralph, but do you think that Buffalo would be happy with a domed stadium?
Absolutely. I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to see, and just to preface this a little, I have a lot of friends in Buffalo who I speak to on this that are knowledgeable in the stadium area and in the Bills, all that stuff. And a lot of people have pointed towards the Buffalo Bills building a brand new stadium in downtown Buffalo, kind of like the idea that's been floated a lot has been like Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis, build a stadium like that in downtown Buffalo, because you may be able to attract the NCAA, you may be able to attract college football games, and also, people don't believe me when I say this, but if you look, when they build new stadiums, you're almost guaranteed a Super Bowl. And if you build a dome stadium in Buffalo, it doesn't matter how cold it is outside. It's all about the stadium itself. So if you have the nice brand new stadium, the facilities for the fans, the hotels for the fans, the infrastructure in the city, they'll give you the Super Bowl. It's kind of like a backdoor deal with every new owner. If you spend $1 million to build it, we will bring you a Super Bowl, which will essentially pay you back for the amount of money you're going to make off of the Super Bowl. So
right,
that might be getting a little ahead of ourselves. But to answer your question, yes, I do believe a dome stadium in downtown Buffalo is the best bet right now for the franchise.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And if that were the case, where there was a dome stadium for the Bills and they brought in a bunch of different things. I mean, I know the what is it called? The First Niagara Center now. It's not HSBC anymore, but I know they've had the NCAA tournament there before. But when you think about it now, if they were to build a nice dome stadium in there that would be appropriate for the NFL, for the Buffalo Bills, but for other activities, they could easily bring a Final Four there.
That's what I thought, because and the other thing too to point out is that one of my friends on the internet, on Twitter, has mentioned numerous times that if you look up the Perry projects in Buffalo, obviously you have to move the people out of the area, but that seems like that would be the area. If they're going to build a stadium in downtown Buffalo, that would be where it goes, which is a couple blocks from Harbor Center, from First Niagara Center, where Terry Pagula kind of owns, has his own little area of land that he owns. But it just makes the most sense. Like I said, it's what's best for business, and it just seems, like I keep saying, it seems to make the most sense to me and to everybody. If you're going to build a new stadium, build it in downtown, help revitalize the area. I mean, downtown Buffalo right now, I'm not sure, John, if you've been out there recently, but it's kind of in an upswing, where they're finding their new ways. They're getting more people to move in, building new buildings, taking old buildings. They've got a lot of lofts, a lot of new hotels. It's becoming quickly the place to be in downtown Buffalo, and there's a lot of money being poured into the city, and it's really revitalizing the whole area.
Okay,
why not put a new stadium in downtown Buffalo?
Well, the last time I was in Buffalo was for a Monday Night Raw that was there, and I mean, at that time, I think it was probably about 4 or 5 years ago at this point, the downtown area seemed like a dump. So it's actually good to hear that they're revitalizing it. And yes, it does make the most sense to actually have the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo and not on the outskirts at Orchard Park. All right, so with that being said, Ryan, what can we expect on the Better Live Than Dead podcast this week?
We're going to talk some football. We're going to talk some baseball. Obviously, the football season is trudging along ahead towards an end. We've still got a few weeks left, but we get more football talk. Baseball, the hot stove is heating up. We got some new offers coming across the table that we're going to talk about, and a big trade, a big signing that happened last week that we also spoke about, as well as Giancarlo Stanton signing and re-signing in Miami. Perez gives us a history lesson on the government, because I accidentally said something and asked him a question because I said, well, isn't this funny? And then he proceeded to go off on it. So that's I promise you that's
you're done. You mention anything of the sort around Perez, and you're done. You've got yourself 25 minutes of rambling.
Well, when you hear it, I did mention it. I mentioned your name a few times and said it was his tryout tape for Get Ready America. So it was, all in all, it was a good podcast. I'm still in the process of editing it as we speak because I've been super busy today. But it'll be in your inbox shortly, and we will make sure that the makes sure the podcast happens, and I think you all will like it. I don't know why I said y'all, but you all will like the podcast.
It's all good. It's all good. So before I let you go here, you mentioned to me privately, and I'm going to kind of put you on the spot. You are actually a fan of the JC Money Show. What exactly about that show is so appealing? Because I mean, I know what kind of product it is. It really, in all avenues, it is me reprising the role of JC Money, reprising the character of JC Money.
I think, and sorry to cut you off, but I think that's what it is that when you tune in, like when I tune in to Get Ready America, I know I'm kind of like sitting down. It almost feels like you're sitting down by a fire and you're just going to talk and just shoot the breeze. But then when I turned on the JC Money Show and I got to the intro and I just heard you talk, I'm like, okay. Because obviously, and this is going to make you sound kind of crazy, but if I say be John, you can be John. If I say be JC Money, you can be JC Money. It's two different guys. One is just a normal human, and then JC Money, on edge. The first thing that comes to your mind, you'll say it. And then when you get into the podcast and you hear, for instance, Chip Stetson talk, it's just the amount of knowledge that's going back and forth, and you're just listening to the podcast, and you can hear it. You can hear the passion. And that's what I enjoy so much. That's why I like doing Better Live Than Dead so much, is because there's a lot of passion involved. And when Perez and I talk, you can hear it from both sides of the table. So when you listen back, you can go, okay, these guys, they may not know exactly what they're talking about on this or that, but I'll be damned if they don't sound like they're very passionate about what they're talking about, and that's what hooks people.
Right. Okay. Well, that's cool. I can dig that, and I thank you for the very kind words there.
I'm glad I could pump your tires and make you feel a little better, because I'm serious, man. I'm not just saying it because I'm fairly confident I said it on the podcast, so you'll hear it towards the end of the podcast on episode 17 of the Better Live Than Dead podcast. But
17.
Now because, yeah, dude, you don't even have to remind me. I was talking to Perez, and I'm like, wow, we're getting up there. But I had mentioned it. It's not because we're on the same network or we're sister podcast or brother podcast, whatever you call it. It's just when you listen to a podcast and hear someone be passionate about something, I'm there. Plus, like I said, I've learned so much because I know enough about the Western New York independent wrestling scene. You pick up on it, you learn things, and it's just amazing to hear someone else who is so knowledgeable and cares so much about it and so passionate about it, to hear them talk about it and hear what they have to say. It's going to be, if you keep it up, which I'm sure you will, it's certainly going to be a very fun show to follow.
All right. And not for nothing, I'm going to say this. Next month, the guest on the JC Money Show will be none other than a longtime Western New York pro wrestling manager, former Pain Clinic member, Mad Dog Bobby Rogers. It's going to be great. Mark House will probably be there too, so it should be fun. Mad Dog, you think Chip is never at a loss for words, and if you've never heard Mad Dog Bobby Rogers, then
I'll tell you what. I'm 23 right now. I've known him since I was 8, so I'm very well versed in the workings of Mad Dog, and I'll tell you what, I've not heard anything. You've not told me anything you're going to talk about or what topics you're going to be on, but I can already tell you. You have Mad Dog on the podcast, it's going to be a must listen to.
Appointment podcast is what I'm shooting for there. All right, before we go, I want to actually let you know, everybody will know this now by the time the podcast is released, but it just happened. Notre Dame missed a field goal wide right, 51 seconds left in the game with Louisville. Louisville up 31-28. That appears to be, Notre Dame has one timeout left. That appears to be the ball game. Notre Dame will lose today.
Jeez.
Yeah,
not this football thing, aren't they?
Yeah, they had it going for a little bit, and then just, I don't know, it bottomed out on them. I don't know that they'll be in the college playoffs at this point, but, there's always next year. But, all right, Ryan, well, I appreciate the Vine. I appreciate the time. As always, you are more than welcome. Let's do it again next week, shall we?
I will be here.
All right, appreciate it. And Better Live Than Dead will be freshly new and uploaded this weekend on GearNetwork.com and all of our other various forums. Ryan, again, thank you.
Have a good night, man. Thanks.
That was Better Live Than Dead's Ryan Wolfe joining us for the third week in a row. I like that. I like how he calls every week. Gives us the rundown, sort of, for Better Live Than Dead. Talks a little sports with us. Gives a little something extra to the show. That's cool. We'll do it again next week. That was Ryan. This is John Cimino. And next is a commercial. And then Dawn's news you can use. Right here on the Gear Radio Network.
You're listening to Gear Radio America on the Gear Radio Network. Hurrah!
Gear Network listeners, November's Song of the Month is Born to Raise Hell by Motorhead, and it was suggested by Better Live Than Dead's Ryan Wolfe. I enjoy it. You should too. We have 2 ways for you to get it through Gear Network. Yes, you can go to gearnetwork.com/iTunes and pay $1.29. Download it on your iPhone like I did, or you can go to gearnetwork.com/Amazon and get it through Amazon MP3 via the Gear Radio Network for 89 cents. That's right. iTunes person, $1.29. Normal people, 89 cents. Hey, whatever you like. It's all up to you, but you can please get it through gearnetwork.com. You can rock out. Rock out! I'm not going to finish that sentence, but through gearnetwork.com. Do it!
Welcome back to F7 Central, everybody. That's F7's the censor button. Welcome back to Get Ready America, and now it is time for Dawn's news you may or may not use. Take it away, Dawn.
Well, John actually stole one of my stories earlier, talking about the snow and the cold, so we, already talked about that, so I won't rehash it, but, how about the fact that Charles Manson just filed for a marriage license?
Seriously?
Yeah, how bad is it that Charles Manson is about to get married, and if you're a single person and have not been able to find somebody to stay with long term, and then you see that Charles Manson is about to get married, how's that going to make you feel?
I would imagine it would make you feel like garbage, but who's the person?
It's a 24-year-old girl who's marrying him.
A 24-year-old girl is marrying Charles Manson.
Yes. Yeah, I can't even imagine what went through her head. Her mom must just be so proud. I'm sure she can't wait to,
I'm gonna guess daddy issues.
I'm gonna guess there probably was no daddy.
That could very well. Okay, so let's do this. Let's bring it in a little closer here.
Okay.
I'm going into dad mode right now.
Uh-oh.
What is this 24-year-old girl's name? Does it say on there?
I'm sure it does. So the girl's name is Afton Burton. She goes by Star.
Star, huh?
She's a star, all right.
Star, not like Star Manning.
No, well, most people probably don't know who Star Manning is.
I already made mention on previous podcasts that my guilty pleasure is General Hospital. I have nothing to hide.
But she's not Star Manning on General Hospital.
No, okay. Very good. Okay, so, all right, bring it in. Going into dad mode right now.
Maybe it was the swastika on his forehead that did it for her.
Now, was it a swastika or was it a Chinese symbol of peace?
Well, who can tell the difference?
All right. Okay, you're ruining this segment, goddammit. Here we go. Ready? Okay. Dad mode. Star, this is JC speaking. I am a father to 2 beautiful girls. I don't know you. I couldn't pick you out of a crowd. I don't see the picture that's on Dawn's screen right now. I'm going to say this. As a father. Run, you moron. What are you doing? I get that you want attention, but Jesus Christ. Charles Manson? Come on now. Look if you want to get hooked up with somebody that's just, it's a rebuilding project or whatever, hell, I can direct you to any freaking wrestling fan that I've come across in any of the cities and states that I've wrestled in, because there's plenty of them there that are sitting there with their hands down their pants, probably haven't showered in days,
that would be a much better choice than Charles Manson.
Right, but she would probably have to have sex with them. She never has to worry about having sex with Charles Manson.
Okay. All right. I guess